Good morning, children. Today, let us take the lesson The Elixir of Life, authored by Sir C.V. Raman. Sir C.V. Raman was an Indian physicist who was born in the year 1888 and died in the year 1970. Sir was awarded many prizes. Among them, the most important, the Nobel Prize for his famous discovery in physics for the Raman effect, which was awarded in the year 1930. Along with that, Government of India has also awarded Bharat Ratna, and the Soviet Union awarded him with the International Lenin Prize in 1957. So, coming back to the lesson, the elixir of life, it has been said, elixir means a liquid substance with a magical power to prolong life indefinitely. So here the water has been given the magical power and it has been explained in the lesson The Elixir of Life by Sir C.V. Raman. Let us take the lesson. Man has through the ages sought in vain for an imaginary elixir of life, the divine Amrita, to confer immortality. But the true elixir of life lies near to our hands, for it is the commonest of all liquids, that is plain water. So, it has been said, through the ages, man is struggling a lot for the imaginary elixir of life, that is the divine Amrita. But we don't know that the real elixir is in our own hands, that is water, the plain water. According to geography, we know that the availability of the water on earth is about 75%. But the percentage of the fresh water, or what we call the plain water, is only about 2.5%. And when it comes to immortality, that has no end. So in the ages, that when you take the Treta Yuga or the Dwapara Yuga, it has been believed that Amrita is a thing which gives us the immortality. There is no end for the life. Here, I remember one day standing on the line which separates the Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt. On one side was a visible sea of billowing sand without a speck of green or a single living thing anywhere visible on it, while on the other side lay one of the greenest, most fertile and densely populated areas to be found anywhere on the earth, teeming with life and vegetation. What made this wonderful difference? Why? It is the water of the river Nile flowing down to the Mediterranean from its sources a couple of thousands of miles away. So, in this paragraph it has been described, one day while the author was standing on the line which separates the Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt. We know that the first civilization of the world is Egypt. And Egypt is made by its river Nile. So Nile is the longest river in the world, and on one side was visible a sea of billowing sand. So here billowing means spreading over a large area. We could see that sand has spread over a large area where we couldn't see even a single speck of green or a single living thing anywhere visible on it, while on the other side lay one of the greenest, most fertile and densely populated area to be found anywhere on the earth. It is believed that civilization flourished on the banks of the river. So here we could see the valley where the complete desert and the other valley with the greenest where the population has flourished. So teeming with the life and vegetation. What made this wonderful difference? What is the reason for this difference? And why is it the water of the river Nile flowing down to the Mediterranean Sea from its sources a couple of thousands of miles away? Geologists tell us that the entire soil of the Nile Valley is the creation of river itself. It was brought down as the finest silt in its flood waters from the islands of Abyssinia and from remote Central Africa and laid down through the ages in the trough through which the Nile flows into the sea. Egypt, in fact, was made by its river. Its ancient civilization was created and is sustained by the life-giving waters which come down year after year with unfailing regularity. Geologists are the persons who study about the earth. So they tell us that the entire soil of the Nile Valley is the creation of the river Nile itself. It was brought down as the finest silt in its flood waters. So here the meaning of silt, it is a sand which is carried away by the flowing water and left at the mouth of a river. So the finest silt of the flood waters has been brought by the river from the islands of Abyssinia and from the remote Central Africa. And it was laid down through the ages in the trough through which the Nile flows into the sea. So when it comes to the meaning of trough, it is a long or a narrow opening container for animals to eat or drink water. It is a place where it has been made for the animals to drink or eat the foods. And yes, next, it's the ancient civilization also was created and is sustained by the life-giving waters which come down year after year with unfailing regularity. We could see that the Egyptian civilization has flourished for many thousands years, and wherein though the flood occurred, again we could see the civilization flourished in the Egyptian valleys. So, I gave this example and could give many others to emphasize that this common substance which we take for granted in our everyday life is the most potent and the most wonderful thing on the face of our earth. So when we take up an example, we could say that we could emphasize that this common substance. So the common substance for us is the water, which is very much important, very powerful and the most wonderful thing on the face of our earth. Because of the water, the earth looks so beautiful. It is said that 75% of the earth is covered by the water and 25% of land. So the availability of the water on the earth made it so beautiful and it is natural. It has played a vital role, a vast significance in shaping the course of Earth's history and continues to play the leading role in the drama of life on the surface of our planet. So water has played a very important role in shaping the course of our Earth history and continues to play the leading role in the drama of life on the surface of our planet. So without water, we cannot sustain our life, or no living being can sustain on Earth. So water plays a very important role in our life. It might be animals, it might be plants or the human beings. It is a very important thing what is required for our life. Coming to the next paragraph. There is nothing which adds so much to the beauty of the countryside as water. Be it just a little stream trickling over the rocks or a little pond by the wayside where the cattle quench their thirst of an evening. It has been said, there is nothing which adds so much to the beauty of the countryside as water. Water is a very important, very beautiful creation of God where everybody enjoys it. So be a little stream trickling over the rocks or a little pond by the wayside where the cattle quench their thirst of an evening. So the water is found in many different forms. It might be like a stream trickling over the rocks. It might be in the form of a little pond. It might be in the form of a stream wherein the cattle quench their thirst in the evening in the countryside. The rain-fed tanks that are so common in South India, alas, often so sadly neglected in their maintenance, are a cheering sight when they are full. It is said that the rain-fed tanks are so common in South India, but unfortunately, we could say that rain-fed tanks are not maintained by our people of South India, and it is neglected in their maintenance and the cheering side. They give us a cheering side when they are full, but the maintenance we are failing to maintain them. And they are of course shallow, but this is less evident since the water is silt laden and throws the light back, and the bottom does not therefore show up. So, whatever we say about the rain-fed tanks, we could say that they are shallow, but this is less evident since the water is silt laden and throws the light back. But the bottom does not therefore show up. We couldn't see the bottom of the rain-fed tanks, but we could say that it is not maintained properly. Some of these tanks are surprisingly large, and it is a beautiful sight to see the sunrise or sunset over one of them. Water is a landscape maybe compared to the eyes in a human face. It reflects the mood of the hour, being bright and gay when the sun shines, turning to dark and gloomy when the sky is overcast. So we could say that rain-fed tanks, it's not only a cheerful sight, it is also compared to the eyes of the human face. Cheerful tanks, that is the rain-fed tanks, is compared to the eyes of the human face. It reflects the mood of the hour. So the water in the landscape, it reflects the mood of hour, being bright and cheerful when the sun shines. So the water, when it flows in the rain-fed tanks, we could see that it is bright and cheerful in the sunrise, and it also turns dark and gloomy when the sky is overcast. We could see the differences in the sunrise and the sunset. So, one of the most remarkable facts about water is its power to carry the silt or finely divided soil in suspension. This is the origin of the characteristic color of the water in rain-fed tanks. This colors varies with the nature of the earth in the catchment area and is most vivid immediately after a fresh inflow following rain. Swiftly flowing water can carry fairly large and heavy particles. The finest particles, however, remain floating within the liquid in spite of their greater density and are, of course, extremely small, but their number is also great. So when we discuss about this paragraph, we could observe that one of the most remarkable facts about the water is its power to carry the silt or finely divided soil in suspension. Water has the power to carry the silt of the sea water or the river water which is divided in the soil in its suspension. And this is the origin of the characteristic color of the water in rain-fed tanks. We could see different colors of the water. It is mainly because of the silt that has been collected in the bottom of the sea. So this color varies with the nature of the earth in the catchment area. So here when it comes with the catchment area, it is a place where it rains heavily. So those areas will have different colors and is most vivid immediately after a fresh inflow following rain. Swiftly flowing water can carry fairly large and heavy particles. It has been said that heavy flowing water or the waves of the sea carries a large amount of particles that is being collected and can carry a fairly large and heavy particles. The finest particles, however, remain floating within the liquid in spite of their greater density and are, of course, extremely small, but the number is also great. So it depends how the wave of the river water or the heavy flowing of the water carries the silt along with them and just accumulate in one particular place. The flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part and beneficent one in the geological processes by which the soil on the earth's surface has been formed from the rocks of its crust. The same agency, however, under appropriate conditions, can also play a destructive part and wash away the soil, which is the foundation of all agriculture. And if allowed to proceed unchecked, can have the most disastrous effect on the life of the country. The problem of soil erosion is one of the serious import in various countries and especially in many parts of India. The conditions under which it occurs and the measures by which it can be checked deserve the closest study. So, soil erosion is one of the important problems which India is facing, and it is also due to the heavy rain or the heavy flow of water. So, when it comes to the flow of water, a heavy flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part and a beneficent one in the geological processes by which the soil on the earth's surface has been formed on the rocks of its crust. So, the crust is the upper layer of the earth wherein the particles can be accumulated on the path. The same agency, however, under appropriate conditions. So, the same agency under the appropriate conditions can also have a very important role in the destructive part or washing away the soil, which is the foundation of all agriculture. It is believed that soil is an important agent of agriculture. So, the flow of water can also accumulate the soil on the upper part of the crust, as well as the heavy flow of water can also cause soil erosion, which is a major threat to the agriculture. And soil has to be absorbed and it has to be preserved, checked, conserved by the different methods so as the soil will not be eroded by the heavy flow of water. Again, it's in our hand as the soil is a very important source of agriculture. And if allowed to proceed unchecked, if we fail to check the soil erosion, what happens? Can have the most disastrous effect on the life of the country. It will affect the life of the country. The problem of soil erosion is one of the serious import in various countries and especially in many parts of India. So when it comes to the problem of soil erosion, it's not only the question of the one particular country, it is about many countries which are facing the problem of soil erosion. But mainly we are facing these problems in many parts of India, as we are not following the proper methods or the measures to preserve them or to conserve the soil erosion. The conditions under which it occurs and the measures by which it can be checked deserve the closest study. So it is in our hand like how to conserve or how to preserve the soil to agriculture. Now let us discuss how the soil erosion can also be the threat. Soil erosion occurs in successive steps, the earliest of which may easily pass unnoticed. In the later stages, the cutting up and washing away of the earth is the only too painfully apparent in the formation of deep gullies and ravines which make all agriculture impossible. Sudden burst of excessively heavy rain resulting in a large run of surplus water are the principal factors in causing soil erosion. Contributory causes are the slope of the land, removal of the natural protective coat of vegetation, the existence of ruts along which the water can flow with a rapidly gathering momentum, and the absence of any checks to such flow. Incredibly, large quantities of precious soil can be washed away if such conditions exist, as is unhappily too often the case. So here in this paragraph, we have discussed we are going to discuss how the soil can be checked, how it can be conserved, and what are the methods for that. Let us go deeply into that. Soil erosion occurs in successive steps, so the earliest of which may easily pass unnoticed. We couldn't say how it has been. In the later stages, the cutting up and washing away of the earth is the only two painfully apparent in the formation of deep gullies and ravines which make all agriculture impossible. So when it comes to the gullies and ravines, it is the place, a channel or a trench which is made by the running water. When the water runs flowed without any pause, so it could make a gullies, that is what you call a deep ravines which is made by the running water, and that made the agriculture impossible, because when the earth is made of gullies or ravines, the agriculture is not possible in those areas. So sudden burst of excessively heavy rain resulting in a large run of surplus water are the principal factors in causing soil erosion. So it has been said that rainfall is very much important for the agriculture. It is also believed that it is also a curse, because when it rains heavily, the erosion of the soil occurs a lot. So when the soil is eroded by the rainfall, the earth cannot check the soil. So when the earth is not able to check the soil, the crops cannot hold the soil. When the crops are not held by the soil, we cannot grow the crops. There is a lot of problem due to the soil erosion. So what are the contributory causes? So what causes the soil erosion? Let us go one by one. So what are the causes for the soil erosion? It might be the slope of land. So where the land is slopy, the soil cannot hold. The soil will not be hold on the slopy lands. And the removal of natural protective coat of vegetation. So when the natural coat of vegetation is removed, it also can cause the soil erosion. And the existence of ruts along with the water can flow with a rapidly gathering momentum. When there is a rapid speed, when there is a huge speed of the water flow, the soil also gets eroded. And the absence of any checks to such flow. So when there is an absence of checks to flow of the water, it can cause soil erosion. Incredibly, large quantities of precious soil can be washed away if such condition exists, as is unhappily too often the case. So, in the next paragraph, we'll see the menace with soil erosion presents to the continuance of successful agriculture is an alarming one in many parts of India, calling urgently for attention and preventive actions. The terracing of the land, the construction of bunds to check the flow of water, the practice of counter cultivation, and the planting of appropriate types of vegetation are amongst the measures that have been suggested. It is obvious that the aim should be to check the flow of water at the earliest possible stage before it has acquired any appreciable momentum and correspondingly large distributive power. So, in the previous paragraph, we have discussed what causes soil erosion. But here in this paragraph, we are going to discuss what are the measures that can be undertaken to preserve the soil erosion. Let us discuss one by one. The menace with soil erosion presents to the continuance of successful agriculture is an alarming one in many parts of India. We could see a threat, a soil erosion has become a threat to many parts of India, because soil, as we discussed in the earlier paragraph, soil is one of the major agents of the agriculture. When the soil is not checked, when the soil is not conserved, it is not the easy task to continue with the agriculture. So let us discuss what are the measures to prevent the soil erosion. So here, it is an urgent need for the attention to prevent the action of soil erosion. So what are the steps taken? Firstly, the terracing of the land. So the first measure here with the terracing of land, the construction of bunds to check the flow of water. If you want to avoid the soil erosion, the bunds to be constructed in the areas where the soil will not get eroded. And the practice of counter cultivation. So counter cultivation is a type of cultivation where the crops can be grown and the same level of elevation will be created to prevent the erosion. So the counter cultivation helps in the prevention of soil erosion. So counter cultivation and the planting of appropriate types of vegetations are amongst the measures that have been suggested. So the major steps to control the soil erosion are construction of the bunds, terracing of the land and counter cultivation, planting of the appropriate types of vegetations which has been taken as the measures to avoid the soil erosion. Coming to the next, water is the basis of all life. You all know that water is the basis of all life, a very important source of life. Because in the first paragraph itself I told that water is an important source where every living creatures need that, whether it is a man, plant or animals. So every animal and every plant contains a substantial proportion of free or combined water in its body. And no kind of physiological activity is possible in which the fluid does not play an essential part. Water is a very important thing to our life. It is the basis of every human being. So, not only the human being, the living creatures, every animal and every plant contains a substantial proportion of free or the combined water in its body. And it is believed that our body is also made of water. Around 75% of water is present in our body also. And without water, no kind of physiological activity will occur in our body. So water is a very important source even for the healthy body of a human being. And water is of course necessary for animal life too. While moisture in the soil is equally imperative for the life and the growth of plants and trees. So not only the human being, even the animals too need water for the healthy life. And along with the plants, for the healthy growth of the plants, water is also very essential. Here, it is given equally imperative. Equally imperative is nothing but equally important for the life and the growth of plants and trees. The preservation and utilization of water is thus fundamental for human welfare. Not only the soil, even the water to be conserved by the human beings, because it's in our hand to prevent and protect the water. So, water is a very important thing for our life. Let us see what means. Apart from artesian water, the ultimate source in all cases is rain or snowfall. It has been told that rainfall is the major source of water. And rainfall, without rainfall, the rivers are not formed. Without rainfall, the ponds, the streams, wells, tanks can't be formed. So, the rainfall is a major thing for the creation of water. So, ultimate source in the cases is rain or snowfall. Much of Indian agriculture depends on seasonal rainfall. Yes, it is told that Indian agriculture is gambling with the rainfall. Without rain, the agriculture activity cannot be taken and is therefore very sensitive to any failure or irregularity of the same. The problems of soil erosion and of inadequate or irregular rainfall are closely connected with each other. It is clear that the adoption of techniques preventing soil erosion would also help to conserve and keep the water where it is wanted. In other words, on and in the soil, and such techniques therefore serve a double purpose. So children, today we have discussed the causes and the measures of soil erosion and the importance of water to the life. In the next class, let us continue about the elixir of life. Thank you.